away, just reminding everybody that the meeting is being recorded. And we're now in session. So welcome. Great to see a turnout, such a good turnout from the Colville community. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for taking an interest in the community board and what we're doing. We'll get underway with the formalities. First up, apologies. So we have an apology today from Jean Ashby. She's at a tangi, and our condolences go to Jean and her whānau.
Yeah.
Any other apologies? We're all here. Cool. So yeah, resolved to accept the apologies. Have a mover and a second.
Doug Gavin.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we'll launch straight into public forum. Good to see people ready to go. And yeah, share your information and your knowledge with us. So who would like to be first?
No one will be going.
Yes.
Joe from the Ball Project, and we had a slight hitch because we had a little presentation and Arms dashed off to get another way to put this one in.
Yep. Okay, so we'll bring you in after. We'll do the public forum stuff, and yeah, we'll slot you in at the end. Go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, sitting on the other side of the table for a change.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming up. We really appreciate it. And you've seen the state of everything on your way up, I presume. Yeah. I did send in what I wanted to talk about today. I don't know if you read it or not. But should I just read out what I wrote? Okay. So I've got 3 items, public forum. So I'll just read what I sent in. I would like to, this is about Colville Road. I would like to submit an RFS to have 2 of the giveaway signs reversed on Colville Road where there is slumping and dropouts to ensure safety and avoid unnecessary collision which could cause serious harm. Heading north, coming through Kapa'araha, just before 116 Colville Road by the Big Tomato, the giveaway sign needs to be on the southern side of the slump. Anyone heading south cannot see if there's a vehicle coming till they are on the single lane as it goes around the corner. You probably see this every day. I've experienced 2 near misses, and others have also said they have too. Heading south from Colville, coming around the Waititi Bay corner, there is a massive dropout. The giveaway sign is quite a way north towards Colville of the corner, and you can't see the mirror of anything that's coming until you're much closer to the corner, and by then it's just too late to stop. Because if you give way where the giveaway sign is, well, you actually have to stop. Like, oh, well, you know, no, there's nothing coming, but you can't actually see the mirror properly giving way there. Especially if the vehicle is coming towards you. Cars heading north don't slow down, well, except us locals, of course. By reversing the giveaway sign, the vehicles heading north towards Colville would at least slow down, not stop. Vehicles heading south towards Coro are also already slowing down. People are heading towards Coromandel, coming down that Colville and coming around the bend, that where the dropout is. We're already slowing down. We already know it's dangerous and really hard. So, and there's signage up there saying you need to be not going any faster than 25 anyway. So the giveaway is just a bit irrelevant, really. So it does need to be on the other side, on the southern side. And C, could the safety barriers just north of what is known as Minnie's Memorial Corner, please have the graffiti removed. I have paint and intended doing it myself, but it needs to be painted with anti-graffiti paint. So if council supplies me with paint, I will do it. You know, it's just horrible. It's just disrespectful. The family, it's really hurtful for the family, Minnie's family. It's Minnie's friends who are doing it. They're just young people. You would have seen the skid marks, the donuts this morning. We hear that all the time. So, you know, it's just horrible. So And they've also graffitied the mirror, they've painted it on. It's, you know, you can't see. It's at night, it's okay. You can see traffic at night because the lights are on.
Jill, not to interrupt you, but I know that you're going to move on to a totally different subject. So I just wanted to know, I did receive your thing late yesterday
Yeah, I was late.
but I did manage to get a comment from the rating manager. So the first three that you itemised about the giveaway and whatnot, he's having Rodin look at those immediately to see what can be improved. And there are rules, as you know, in terms of giveaway signage and whatnot. And then the last one about Minnie's barrier, he said he will put it on the regular maintenance schedule. And thanks you very much for your offer, but they can't actually have public working on your assets. But he assures us that he will get that tended to as soon as possible. So I'll just leave that at that.
Thank you. So now I'm going to move on to food scrap bins for the Northern Rural Coromandel. And on the council website, there's a question, are the food scrap bins and rubbish bins optional? DCD response, no. All properties in curbside service areas will receive a food scraps bin and a wheelie bin for rubbish. I'll present to the board after surveying. Oh yeah, so after I surveyed quite a few local people and about these rubbish bins, and so I just want to say that there's a whole lot of us up here who don't want that option. I'd like to add that we have 55% absentee. Or whatever. Property owners who are not residents, a waste of money and adds to our rates for these properties to have bins. Just want to add here that the majority of people up here, like I myself, have my driveways nearly half a kilometre long. I've already got a yellow bin to take down. Don't need another bin, really. And if they don't collect it, they don't collect these things. But we all compost up here. You know, and if the people don't compost up here, their neighbours do. You know, we do not need compost bins up here. It just is going to add to our rates, really, and we don't need that. I mean, you just saw the state of our roads on the way up, put the money into that. Yeah, anyway. And it's got here, how will ratepayers residents pay for the waste services? TCD response. No decision has been made yet about changes to 23-24 rate. However, it's predicted there will be some cost increases due to the increased services with the new contract. Any decisions will go out for public consultation as part of the 23-24 annual plan in March 23. With a decision from council likely in June 23. Now I know those submissions have opened for the annual plan, but I just wanted noted that you know this is how it is for people up in this area. We don't want them. We don't want those composting bins unnecessary. Right, my third one, communication regarding curbside collection and times of road closures. We have had no curbside recycle collection for 4 weeks and are now not getting it until the 31st or after the 31st of March. I did find that on the website, but there are a lot of people north of Coromandel Town that either don't have power, Wi-Fi, and even if they have both, they don't always have the ability or inclination to go onto the TCDC website or Facebook or whatever. A mail drop is the best way to communicate up here. We have a very efficient rural delivery service. So communication telling us there is no service and the reasons why is the way to go. Our current situation, not having had a collection for 4 weeks and another 4 weeks before we do, is not good. So I would like to ask council to go beyond the contract that hasn't got enough drivers and get someone to remove our recycling bins as soon as possible. if you can get it emptied in Coromandel town or anywhere else on the peninsula that hasn't had roading, but have managed to have recycling collected, skip a week in town if they have to and come up here and remove it. Our bins have been sitting out here on Colville Road for 4 weeks now. And you would have noticed them as you went past if you were looking. You can't help but notice. So all the bottles, etc. And I mean, what's wrong with the contractor? If I had a business that needed to be run and my staff went and I didn't have staff, I would do it myself. So, you know, do it.
3 week excuse, not that.
3 week excuse. Sorry, yeah, it's not okay. We do get forgotten up here in Colville. You know, we are self-sufficient. We do a lot of stuff ourselves. But, you know, we pay rates and we expect this service. Other towns can have it, why can't we? Initially, we were told the rubbish trucks couldn't come up because Colville Road was closed to trucks, delivery vans, big vehicles, etc. And only residents were able to use it. So that's what I was told, you know. It made sense to stop these large vehicles as our road was in an extremely dangerous condition and almost impassable in many places. Unfortunately, there was no unmanning or policing where the road closed lines were situated. So it really pissed all of us off when large trucks and trailer cattle trucks came up here, big courier trucks and main freight and big food delivery trucks came up. Most of them larger than the rubbish trucks that usually come up. Our question, therefore, is these big vehicles could get through, then the rubbish truck could get through. I rang council every week to see if we were going to get our recycling picked up, and they said, no, the road is closed and they aren't allowed. Sorry, but it doesn't let council off the hook, in my opinion. The lack of communication every week was not okay. In saying that, I acknowledge, you know, the rise and the fantastic job that has been done on our roads as the best they can. You would have seen the yellow, so it's coming up this point about cones, so that's great, that is really helpful. And it's not in a gate, and I know that it's really busy in other parts, you know, there's main roads that are closed, etc. But don't forget about us, you know, we still exist, we still pay our rates, and, you know, we'll help out if we can. So, yeah. So thank you very much. I know you do a really good job, and I do really appreciate it. I know I don't sound like I do, so I do appreciate what you do. Thank you very much, and welcome, Len. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Yes, I know how committed you are to Colville. We heard your campaign say that you would, you know, keep an interest in Colville. So thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks a lot. It is a little bit funny when you're driving people from other parts of the country and other parts of the world around the Northern Peninsula, and outside everybody's house is like 4 bins of empty bottles. Yeah. You have to explain to them that we're not all alcoholics. It has been a long time between drinks. Yeah, we haven't drunk all those in the last week.
Yeah. We don't have our name on your liquor box, so no one knows.
You're supposed to sit there or something, you know.
You can do whatever.
Oh, okay. My name's Danny Toke, I'm here to represent the Little Bay Ratepayers Association. And I emailed Margaret of the points I wanted to talk about. The first point I want to discuss is the speed limit within Little Bay, passing the biggest dock camp in the country. And this goes back to a request for service on the 4th of August 2017. We started this. The previous mayor got involved and she managed to get the executive officer at that time to erect 2 signs which just says, welcome Little Bay, welcome Wakewell, please slow down. We're looking to put a speed limit of 50k through the built up area. Otherwise, it's an open speed limit. And to me, it's absolutely bloody ridiculous that you've got an open speed limit that goes through a dock camp on one side of the road and the other side of the road at Christmas time. There's kids going past, there's visitors. That's one instance. The next thing, you go up through up into the Little Bay community at Kudiara Road, and there's kids catching buses, right? And there's kids out there. There's no footpaths. People are walking up and down the road, and it's still an open speed limit. And this goes on a request for the service. I've got it here. I'm sure Marcus got it. It's on the 4th of August 2017. Initially, they told me they would do a speed management plan, national speed management plan, which I thought was fair. They should go and jump in the middle, which I thought was fair. And then it's just gone on, and I've gone back and I've been through Margaret. She's sent it to the roadie engineer. So someone is just not bloody putting any priority on this. Does someone have to get killed? And I'm telling you, if someone gets hurt, I know who I'll be pointing the finger at. And I have all the email trails. It's ridiculous. It's so simple. So anyhow, when they done Kudiara Road and resealed it, I thought, oh, this is a golden opportunity. They'll do it. And I was pleased they painted the red area on the road. And I approached the project manager, and he said, no, we're just reinstating the road as we found it. So someone's just got to get proactive and get a speed limit put in. You know, I'm a person who believes in process and follow the process, which I've done that. And nothing's happened.
Thanks.
So,
Danny, did you get a response at the time?
yeah.
Service?
I got 2 responses or 3 responses.
Yeah.
Saying the first time they couldn't do it because there was a national speed review.
Okay.
Which I thought was fair enough, there's no point jumping in. And the second time, that George, the roadie engineer, he said he passed it on to somebody else.
Right.
And it just seems to go on and on and on and on.
Yeah. And are you advocating for 30 or 50?
50.
50.
Some people within the community would like 30, but I really don't think that's quite realistic. People just won't take any notice of it. But 50 is a common speed limit going through other communities, such as Colville, and at Omaha Bay, all around there. So we're asking for a 50k speed limit. The other issue I want to talk about is the parking reserve at Little Bay. Apparently, or history says that before recreational services won the contract, it wasn't in the old contract to have the Little Bay Park Reserve mowed. So there was always, there was a big battle. So speaking to DCDC, I agreed that I would mow it with my tractor mower, which I have done. Then I was informed that since recreational services have come on board, it's in the contract. So I've stopped and I refuse to do it anymore. DCDC said, oh, we could pay you to do it. I said, that's not the point. I'm more than willing as a community person just to make it neat and tidy. And anyhow, the other day when I was coming home, it has been mowed. It's finally been mowed. That is the first time before Christmas it's been mowed. And I meant to take a photograph of it, but all the dead grass is flooded with bloody poles and this bloody thick, and it's quite curious. It looks bloody horrible. So, and what I can't understand. When I drive home from Colville, the reserve at Colville, it looks beautiful. It's always mown, it looks neat and tidy. Then I go home to Little Bay Reserve. Excuse my language, it looks like a bloody bucket of shit. Right? Now, we reverse the tables. How much rate revenue does TCDC get out of Colville compared to the community at Little Bay?
Okay, thanks, Dan.
I get a lot more. So what I'd really like is for some action to be done on the contract, because someone's not doing their job.
Yeah.
To have it mowed. And, yeah, so that's my two gripes. And, I'd just like to, thank the emergency response teams over Cyclone Gabriel, Pam Bolt and her team. I acted as the messenger boy and sending emails around to all the people in Little Bay. And I'm more than willing to offer to TCDC to be a posting point again, if anybody uses me. You know, I have 150 emails on my mailing address, because once people leave here, they're into their city work life. I would say 80% of residents in Little Bay don't live in Little Bay.
Yeah.
So, you know, when they go home to Auckland, they're not going to go to the TCDC website to check to see when the rubbish comes. They're looking for email and totally, because I only send out the necessary ones. And like, oh, I better read this. So I'm offering to be a postal drop, the email drop, or anything that TCDC want to be simulated out to the community.
That's awesome. Thanks, Danny. Those local networks are definitely going to be key going forward. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to get worse. I think.
No questions for Danny?
I have a couple, if that's okay. Dean, you might be able to help me with that. Little Bay State Highway, is that State Highway or council? It is council. Okay. So I'm just a bit puzzled as to why it's taken so long to get changed in the speed limit. It's a council road, so maybe you and I can talk, or Ed might have some information. But if it's state highway, understandable, but the council thing. So maybe some questions afterwards about that, and obviously some background. But I would say this, that the issue of speed limits across the district is coming up more and more, and we are looking at council level of finding ways in which we can be a lot more agile and respond a lot quicker than has been done in the past when it's council roads. On a state highway basis, obviously different story, but when it's council roads, I think we need to be a bit more agile and we'll be looking at that as well. The other question that I had was with Danny, your offer of community support. I just want to say thank you for that. That community support for emergency response teams throughout these events, and we keep referring to Cyclone Gabriel. In fact, our event started way back at the beginning of January. Yeah. Cyclone Gabriel was the last, and it was the worst, but we've been hammered since the beginning of January. So your community support teams, I can't tell you enough how much that's appreciated and how valuable that is. So I just want to pass that on. Thank you very much.
Please. Dean?
Just through the chair, I suppose just another question, but the roading manager is currently looking at the speed limits for a number of communities around Colville and Coromandel. So I'm aware that probably within a year, he'll be able to make some recommendations on some speed limit changes. I did try and message him just now to figure out what the exact timeframes are, but I haven't been able to get a response from him. But the information you provided to Margaret she'll be able to follow up with an email and let you know what the exact process is, and confirm whether Waikawao and Little Bay have been considered in that or not.
Okay, and I just want to mention, I've been in touch with the dock management and they endorse it as well. Because it, they would have a bigger issue than we have. But
Yeah, I wonder if I might just, when you're through the chair, when you're ready, just a couple of discussions around what Jan was saying, but I'll wait till you have a spare moment, if that's all right.
Steph, should we hear from you since you're getting up ready to go?
Connection of two previous speakers, so
Right,
it might be a good time. I don't
Okay.
know if you have speaking on.
thank you, not yet.
Right.
You're next.
First of all, tēnā koutou katoa. Warm greetings and congratulations to all the new board members and to our new mayor. So purpose of my short presentation, please can you give me the bell at 4 minutes, and then I'll know to wind up. Is to inform you and update you about local issue. So ko Stephanie McKee tako ingoa, ko Karuna Falls Eco Village tako kāinga. This, I want to talk to you about the Waikanae Valley Road. That is a branch of Waikawao Beach Road. I will send maps and my notes to the secretary after this, so it can help with the minutes. I would have done a map up there, but doesn't seem to be, well, apparently there wasn't going to be any, but anyway. Starting backwards, so our land, our block of land is the Haratonga block. It's the catchment of Waikanae Valley Road. We're behind the Waikawao Bay Farm Park. Currently, we think it's still managed by DOC, but it's in transition to iwi management. We are not kept in the loop as to the timeframe or what's happening, but so we initially had a easement concession with the Department of Conservation to have an access road through Waikawao Valley. Now there's a legal gazetted paper road up that valley, but historically the previous farmers in the 50s cut through the paper road and did a great big canal, as you do, to drain the swamp, pasture. That's what they did. So we have maintained and created this road over 47 years at the cost of much labour when we have been younger, and about 85 plus grand in money and annual maintenance, gravel. We contract with the council for graders. So we have taken responsibility, and plus our neighbours down the valley have also contributed. So it's been a cooperative effort to have this access road. It has been acknowledged as the public uses this road, and we renew our easement concession with DOC recently as a sort of another transition to iwi management. And in that contract, it's as clear that the public use this road. Also, so fast forward a little bit back further, the council actually partially enabled our village to grow. In the 80s, they granted 10 housing consents. So, this has been an evolving situation. Now there's an established solar powered village of 3 generations. However, we didn't have the correct plan permission for papakainga or multiple occupancy on rural land. The colonial land tenure system doesn't have provision for that. However,
we went to the council to try and change our zoning back in 2014 to rural lifestyle zone, which would have given us density of housing for the next generation. And they said, no, you can get all you want by subdivision. And that's not in our kaupapa. We believe we are guardians, not owners and speculators on the land. The subdivision just wasn't in our picture, besides the cost. So we went to the Environment Court, and the outcome of that was that there is now a rural, in the rural zone, we have Rule 17A, which designates Corona Falls Eco Village housing area as an exception to the rural zone, with planning permission for up to 30 houses and 6 mining units. So that's great. It's given us provision for the future. But that's just background to inform you, of the context. So back to the road. In 2021, we gave a presentation to the community board and asked your support to help re-gazette this road. The first step is getting the legal, getting it aligned with the existing track. And so we have actually paid for 2 surveys. We've actually done a lot of the work. And so it's the northern end, which doesn't follow the paper road. So we actually paid for a survey in 1990 to, it's a preparation for getting it resettled. Anyway, so now it's 2023. It was not much, apart the steps forward were that the board and the council have agreed that it is a unformed public road. That's the legal term. Although it is formed, we can attest to that. But it's a legal public road. The neighbours, the people are paying for the maintenance. If the public use it, we want this to change. We're getting old. We can't carry on doing all that. So the latest thing was we did a few follow-up letters to try and see what was happening. And August 22 last year, the roading engineer wrote us a short email saying that there were historical issues outside the experience of the staff. Consequently, they've hired consultants. And we've kind of flabbergasted because one phone call or one visit, we know all the historical issues. We've got the maps, we've got the steady files, hiring consultants in this age of budget blowout. We don't get it, why that's necessary. So there is some, and then there is some conversations going on, we believe, what the engineer said, with the iwi, but we thought that really the first step is simply DOC and the council doing this regazetting. We were advised, to be honest, by the DOC permissions officer that it would be wise to get this sorted, the legal thing sorted before the iwi transition, because it could get very complicated after that and different from the experience they've had around the country, different ways. So we really want to expedite this, progress it, at least the legal step. And we know the long-term thing of the council taking over the road, we understand that is going to take a long time, most likely, given the infrastructure problems around the whole peninsula. That is pretty well it. Also, we're happy to operate as a local network, communications network. I like doing newsletters, and we've got 50 or plus on our Corona Falls newsletter and another 100 or so on the Colville Co-op newsletter. So yeah, there's a lot of good networks around here, really good community and neighbourly support. Fantastic, actually. So, thank you for hearing, and we just hope that somehow we can expedite at least the legal regazetting of the road, get that ticked off. That would be a big relief. And we're just doing this for the future, you know, for the
Yeah.
next year.
And Steph, then that would just get the road on the map where it actually is, as opposed to where it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. The paper road goes past what used to be a beautiful meandering river. And now there's a big straight canal that was made. Yeah, it's just aligning it with the existing track. That's has to happen, apparently.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Any questions? Steph?
It's good, thank you very much, and yeah, just all the best for your work as on the board, and congratulations to Len, his leadership in this really difficult time the peninsula's been having. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. So,
Hey, were any others wishing to present to the public forum? Marcus. Yeah.
Want to thank you for the work that has taken place. It's now passable. The year seems to be moving south. It started this morning. I think yesterday was the last of the actual earth moving, which has come to be bathed into the earth temperature. And there's a few points that are concerning. The priority of cleaning culverts. That was quite a storm. And some of the culverts carry large creeks. They've been blocked. And the action's taken place, shifting all that material through water, which spreads for up to 60 metres would be the longest one. And the traffic just gouges the metal out until you've got a good big rut. If they had been cleaned by the beginning, those trucks would have been able to carry right through. Drivers have to stop to go into some of these holes and start their journey again. They're doing 7 or 8 trips a day, just that close. Okay, but if they're coming from further, then of course they do journeys. And I think it is a disgrace to ask a driver, and some of them are quite ill at the end of driving, to put up with those conditions, even though we're going through a storm period. That's my main concern. And I know what it entails because I have been a heavy truck driver myself, but many years ago. Now, this storm the other day is a repeat of what we had in 1958, where these roads were shut virtually for 3 months. So, we had an earthquake in 1956, which put the cracks in, set up the conditions for the country to drop. And it did. And why I know it so well, I was in Kent doing CMP, and one of my mates had to come home to drive those try and open these tractor because they only horse tracks that have been widened. Put a bit of metal on, there's no foundation. And they suddenly become able to carry 50 tonnes. And that's the problem all over the country. Highways that were class 2, and you could put 25 tonnes on them, and suddenly by a decree somewhere from the government, 50 tonnes. So that is another problem we have. Another is the bridge in the valley where I live replaced Ford, which washed out 6th of May 1948, and another one of these storms. And the county repaired it with some boards on one side of the Ford. There was some very, very bad accidents, including a horse getting killed on it with the rider safely breaking free before they went down in amongst a lot of reinforcing. Then there was a temporary put up, and then there was an allocation that there would be. There were 3 choices, and the builder chose to put it right alongside the temporary. And the tube, or whatever you call it, under the bridge, is not big enough to take water. And 3 times these sorts of floods go straight out and down the beach, just take everything. If the county doesn't keep that tube clean, and it takes a digger and 1 or 2 trucks, and they take it out and tip it in a heap near the beach, that will go in a big flood. I can't give you the date when it was built, but it was after Ron Pepper built the bridge with the Allen East thing. That was the finish of the top bridge building. And the next thing is that metal that they take out of that creek is what all this county is run on for 95 years. Our family have owned that piece of land. And all that time, that metal was gone from there. At no cost to the county, well, other than digging it out. There's been no royalties, nothing like that, never any intention of it. But we hear now that it isn't satisfactory. Well, this new contracting system, you have contractors mining the metal that the Coromandel County Council put on 40 years ago. It used to be that deep. Now that drainage of the road so they can get the bird dust rounded up for a road. And 11 years there's been no metal put on that road at all other than pop. So that's my principal concern. Now, years ago, my father set up some davits to keep a track on metal. Now, outside the old place where he grew up, road and the paddock were there. Today, the road is way down in amongst the base stone that hill is built with. Across the road, across the bridge, there's a straight, we call it the Wiltshire Paddock Straight. It's a foot down on what it should be, and the sea comes in, runs right down the road, takes all the metal, puts it in a, well, I suppose it's a peaks at the entry of the coal. And unless something's done, we'll be right down the base rock. That's my presentation. I only have it written on an envelope, but if you wish and report it, I'll put it on a decent thing. But I only had it last night to put it together. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to have the local insight. It's particularly here with your history and your knowledge of the place. So yeah, thank you. Any questions for Marcus? Thank you. Anyone else like to present public forum?
For me, put it in your presentation, literally off the top of my head, coming back again. Can we put anything like, have a say?
Absolutely. Stand up and I'll give you your 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say,
We're doing, so we've got two presentations. We've got after public forum. We have two presentations, but during the public forum, this is the time now if you want to have your say.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, this is one on from me, but very briefly, over the decades, the Colville community has asked the DCDC, as it became, after we got in the county, to not spray poisons, particularly glyphosate, along the roadsides and straight into the watershed of this valley. It's been remembered at times and forgotten at times that it's going on again. So this is not a formal presentation. I don't have backing from the community as such. But you do.
Yes, you
Okay. There are more-
That's it, you've been elected.
There are more voices, but we have a long, strong, total dislike of the spraying glyphosate because it's a cheap, casual, eco-damaging way of just trying to control the grass birds. All that stuff goes straight into the water courses, into our face. And it is not safe poison. Glyphosate is not a simple thing. It's surprisingly long lasting. We'll leave the technicals, everything. So I will put forward then that we would ask that not to happen in at least inside the Colville Valley, and any of the other people I've overheard the same voice, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right, that's our no spray sign.
Exactly. The stop. And there are other ways of controlling the grass verges without just I detest following trucks with an arm out the window, spraying poison all along. It is.
Thank you again.
This huge law court, so it's going on in America, where they've banned it.
Yes.
We're the only country almost in the Western world, we're still using these toxins. The amounts found in the centres is horrendous.
Yes. Food chain.
Throwing babies, the centres and the baby's blood have huge pesticide levels in them. It's a huge toxic concerns for our environment and our own population, and we think it's leading to huge rates of infertility. It's extremely concerning. We really don't need to be loading ourselves with more toxic poison in our communities.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you'll forgive me, I'm not sure of your name.
Oh,
Yeah,
apologies. My name is Tony Wallace. It's long time out now. So I would like to put a proposal that the community board directs the council to find alternative ways or even to support them if necessary, the local community to do that work in a positive, supportive way if necessary.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tony. No questions? Awesome. Thank you very much. And while we're on the subject of names, I do need to apologise and say I should have started by introducing ourselves. You at this, and yeah, apologies. So I'm Gavin Jeffcoat. I'm the chair of the community board. My role is just to kind of organise the meetings, really. And we have other community board members here.
Don Morrissey. Hi, guys.
And that community board
Jim
member.
Davis.
And today, thank Mayor Len Salt for coming in very, very busy time. We appreciate you taking your time. And helping us along the way, Margaret, Bubbles, her boss Dean, and Donna and Helena, helping us to run the meeting and keeping us on track and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. So yeah, Apologies for not doing that at the start. Dean. So Dean is Margaret's
He's
boss.
my boss, so be careful, Dean. This is Dean Allen. Dean is the district manager. And so he keeps an overview across the whole district and works with people like myself, the area manager. Yeah, to help our communities.
Thank you. Okay, so Lena, you thought,
Yeah, I'll just make a word.
yes,
So basically, my name's Lena and I run the CRC here, during, whenever civil defence tells me to stand it up. And, the learnings that we had from this last event was that communication is absolutely it. We were the only place that had internet connectivity. And, we managed, we had power outage for a few days, but we got power back on. All the power was out further north, and that was through Select Solutions. And Anne Belter said that the TCDC are looking at getting Starlink in because it was just everything was out. Nothing worked at the fire station, nothing worked anywhere. This is the only place where people could get online. We had 75 people here at one point using the access to the outside world. And we have formed a little group within, I don't know when Anne speaks, she might speak about this later, but there's a little group that's working on communication. And they've talked with Liam about getting a relay booster that will boost connectivity and also give UHF access, which we have so many black spots up here, but in the emergency services, and it's a nightmare. You just go around a corner and you got nothing. So that's going to cost about $30,000. So we'll be putting in. We've got the support of Pamela Bolt to put in the application for the Department of Internal Affairs. So we will be putting in an application for that and for a generator for the hall. Because we need a generator for when the power goes off, we need a generator to run the whole response centre. And I will put this all in writing and send it through. So, and I will ask for a backing letter from our board so that we can get everything lined up for Department of Internal Affairs. The other learning was identification. So Civil Defence asks us to check on everybody. And we found that the teenagers on track motorbikes were fabulous. And Gavin and Leanne, their electric bikes. Those kids really wanted to help. They're screaming around on their bikes all the time, annoying everybody. And finally, they got to do something really, really worthwhile for the community. They took messages, they checked on people up far-flung driveways that nobody could get to. And in the next big event, we will have that little group of highly skilled riders. You know, some of them are in some of the top teams in the country, their riding skills. So just getting out to everybody. We came up with a plan that if you can get to the end of your driveway, put something red out there, red paint, red flag, red blanket, red towel, anything. If we see red tape wrapped around your letterbox, that means you need help. Doesn't matter what help it is, getting the tree off your driveway, getting the tree off your garage, getting the medical help. If you can get to the end of the driveway and everything's okay, put something white there. That means we don't need to waste time going to check because you've already said we're all okay here, move on to the next place. We've only got something like 95 places we have to check, but most of them are in far-flung, hard to get places. So that was the other thing we came up with, and of course personal responsibility and the whole total mind, reach out to your neighbours, reach out to the community. Don't sit there, you know, ask for help. So we're just going to push that message all through through the parliament, through to make sure people know that they're actually personally responsible for themselves. And there's all the things that they're told to do before an event. They need to be responsible for them, and if they can't do them, reach out for help. And we'll get the community members to come out. So that's basically all it was. But when you get the bit of paper, asking you to support my funding application to the Department of Internal Affairs. You know that it's, well, generating for here. The medical centre needs a generator. We need to do a lot of funding things to get our community more resilient through these events. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to Colville.
Thank you. For the work that you did sort of during the event and after the event, creating a space that people could come to and get hooked back into the world. Yeah, it was fantastic. Thank you very much. And also ongoing, getting us thinking about what's happening, what will happen in the future, and how we can work better as a community and link together to keep everybody safe and look out for everybody. So yeah, thank you.
Can I just ask a question? Does anyone in the TCDC know of any investigation or review of the mast battery life or within the area? Because that was a little bay. We lost power for 5 days. I have a generator and I was going around the community, but we couldn't communicate with anybody because we lost the mast.
So yeah, I guess as a public forum, sort of concern for the community is how quickly those cell phone towers lost their power.
I don't
they
think
went
that
down.
any house-
Yeah.
That's what the design was.
Yeah.
But surely, so I'm asking, do TCDC know that it's got to know of any national review? Because the same thing happened down in Napier.
Yeah.
Everybody lost the power, they couldn't communicate, so.
Could well be, and thanks for raising it, and we can certainly make note of it. And yeah, people will ask the question.
And it's a growing concern because we don't have landlines anymore.
Yes.
Correct.
So Gavin, if I just may, through the chair, that absolutely is on the radar. It's been raised many times in a number of parts of the district that depending on which tower it is and which company operates with limited battery life, how do we extend that? So that is absolutely on the radar. So thank you for raising it again.
Actually, just another edit point, sorry, through the chair, is, as I said, Little Bay lost power for 5 days. And then I heard through the grapevine that Tudiara had power.
Yes.
So we were driving to Tudiara under the mast and the way we were going, but it's a bit of double-edged sword here. Maybe the emergency response teams could advise who has lost power and who's still on power. But it's very awkward to try and tell me that Tudiara had lost power and I have still have got power, but I haven't got power. I cannot talk to anyone.
Yeah,
So it's a very difficult double-edged sword, but I just thought that would be maybe one improvement they could do.
Yeah.
Is advising the communities who has lost power and who has not lost power.
Right. Yeah, and I guess through the work that we're doing, that Lena's leading around Colville and the other communities, getting that network sort of alternative communications established, I think will definitely come out of that.
I'll just chuck something in briefly. We were lucky in our community, it was all solar powered.
Yeah.
So we didn't lose power, but we did lose communications. And I drove up to Tuatiara to sit under there to text my family, yes, we're okay, you know, but just a thought, chuck in, could the Vodafone towers have solar, solar power, so they would continue without being dependent on grid. So it's just.
I'm sure there's going to be a national review.
Yeah, there is.
The whole regional island, maybe will change.
Yep. Thank you. Very good. Thank you all, everyone who's presented. As the community board now, we're asked to put forward a resolution to accept the information that we've been given and the reports that we've been given from everybody, including any table material and correspondence. So just have a mover for the motion and seconder. All those in favour?
Aye.
So thank you. Those will all get carried forward to council. And thank you for your time.
Sorry, Kevin, speak. I think you.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Ah.
not familiar with what goes on. Peter Sand from I'd like to thank the community board for clean up. quite a concern over the rubbish, but that's been pretty well talked about. If they get a notice out in the Hauraki Herald or something saying that we expect to start collection of the recyclables on such and such a date. You know, 4 times the car brought our green bins out, bottles, brought them all back in the end. Yeah, the other point was minor thing that they what we call the split, which is halfway between here and Papaaraha, big slip, very old slip. They've done a great job cleaning it up, and they've put a bund on the right hand side as you're going down there, a small bund of dirt. Just before that, coming back towards the slip, there's a chasm in the ground that wide. And if someone's put a marker post and it's dropped down in it, it's quite deep. Just a safety thing that's used over a lot of walkers, their daily walkers going along there, and it's just a minor thing to fill up. I can go up there with my tractor and pick some stop material off the car, go over the road and dump it in. Probably get ground out, I don't know. But it wouldn't take much to all the rubbish going by and dump a load up on top and someone to push it out flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Peter. Shall we?
Is there anyone else?
That's right.
Happy?
Okay, cool. Noted. Yeah, thank you, everybody. That's the end of the public forum. We've got 2 presentations now. One from Outward Bound from Simon. We'll see you first. So yeah, when you're.
So you're welcome to stay or welcome to leave. It's totally up to you.
I do want some things which I think people find helpful.
Thank you all,
Yeah.
thank you.
So I'll leave it to you when you want to fit that in.
So we just pause you. Yeah, so yeah, just in case people are leaving. Danny.
That's Helen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you. No.
Yeah. Lena's going to speak.
The mayor.
Yeah.
I'm in your hands, but people want to just get updates on some of the things that they've raised before they leave. It might be a good idea to do it now.
Just before people go. Let's do that. To you.
With your permission, thank you. So folks, thank you for the points that you've raised. There's some really good stuff here because we've been working behind the scenes at council and with the government on a bunch of these issues that you've raised. I thought now's a good time just to give you a quick update. First of all, the issue of food waste bins that's been raised. There's some good points, and it's really important that they become part of your submissions on the annual plan, and the solid waste process that we're doing at the moment. It's really important to put those submissions in because we need to hear what you have to say for your community. So please, I think they close on the 14th of April. So please put those submissions in. We want to hear those points. Curbside collections, we are having issues with the contractor, and it's not just us. This is spread right through Matamata-Piako, Hauraki, a number of other districts. It's driven by 3 things: COVID, the hours that the drivers are logging because they have to go over hours because of the road closures, and they can't do the collections and then get to the recycle centres within their logged hours. So they're becoming illegal, and it's becoming a real issue. So we've identified this actually about 5 weeks ago, and we reached out to the government and requested urgent help from the Ministry for the Environment to fund additional resources and people to help us to manage this, because it's basically clocking at hundreds of thousands of dollars a week now in terms of the additional cost to our district and other districts. It's nobody's fault. But it's the fact that we've got 25A out, and so that the trucks just can't get through, and it's logging up all this extra time, plus all the COVID, and we've got a big wave of COVID going through council as well at the moment, but right through the country. So we are aware of it. What has happened in some parts of the district, places like Tairua, they have put in place some community recycle collections. And that's worked quite well. It's up to the community whether they do it or not, but it has helped. And at times like this, and you guys are really good at this, communities just pitch in and do what you can just to get through this period. We will get out the other side of this. Danny, I think, raised the issue of mowing and contract performance. I just want you to be aware that this is something that our council, as a whole council, is taking a really, really close look at. And you'll see noises being made around the country about the cost of councils' contract costs and impositions on council and ratepayers, particularly when it comes to things like road cones and Auckland spending $145 million a year on road cones and traffic safety management. The question that we're asking is there a better way that we can do contracts and traffic safety management that doesn't cost a fortune? And so on a whole of council basis, we're looking at this. So just be rest assured that we are taking this very seriously. Steph, you made a comment about the use of consultants for roading engineers. It is a good point, and we are all concerned about the cost of consultants. Ed Varley is our single roading engineer, and he is dealing with 170 different roading issues at the moment, where he would normally have 5 to 10 in the same period.
Right.
Give him a break. The other thing about using consultants is that, especially when you've got iwi settlements and things and the legal, these things can get really complicated. If we don't do it right, it can come back and bite us on the backside later on. So sometimes the use of consultants to get it right in the beginning is the way to go. So bear with us on that.
I have a comment about that.
Sure.
It seems to me that actually the people who use the road would be your best consultants, and nobody is talking to us.
And I think that's a really good point. That should be happening. What we're concerned about is that we don't step outside of the bounds of what we're legally able to do when it comes to moving boundaries and easements and things like that. But absolutely, lots of people are the best place to start with in terms of knowledge.
If I could add to that, often I can understand the positive use of consultants, but there's often a disconnect between consultants brought in and the community.
Yes, and I hear that, and that's happened. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. So thank you for that. We'll take that on board.
Okay.
Marcus, you made a comment about cleaning culverts, and I think it's a really, really good one. And that culvert cleaning has really ramped up and has been highlighted in terms of the degree of urgency. Council has to stay ahead of culvert cleaning, because when storm events come, we get hammered. And we've seen that, and there's already a program of work underway. We're still in recovery mode. We're still getting this stuff done, but that work is absolutely being prioritised at the moment so that we're ready for the next event. The other comment that you made, Marcus, which I really want to thank you for, and this is a conversation that we're having with the government at the moment, is the massive lack of investment over decades in our roading networks. You know, the lack of investment in bridges, and I can point to 2 or 3 places in the district, particularly places like Te Puru, where bridges, streams and culverts have been, they used to flood, they have been dealt to, and during all of these events through January and February, they did not flood. So there's an example, and we actually used that example yesterday in a discussion with the Department of Internal Affairs when we're looking to them for funding support. If they spend money in advance of these networks, then we avoid extra costs happening later on and imposition on people and road closures and accessibility issues. The incidents that you highlighted about, you know, the bridge in 1948 being repaired and nothing ever being done to it since, that is just shameful. That should not be happening.
No, they built a bridge to replace, repair. Excuse me, but you like that.
That's all right.
But when they built the new bridge, they didn't get it high enough to let the volume of water through.
Yep.
And the council has had to dig it out after every flood. Whereas pile of metal in the heap, they used to put it on the road.
Yes.
And it's there, there's no cartage, they don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
But it lets that water on.
Yeah. So
Otherwise, it comes straight down the valley, forgets about the bridge and everything else, cuts the approaches and down the beach.
thank you. So the message is do it once and do it right.
Yeah.
And do it future-proof. So
Also use the local resource. Don't truck it into the miles away, it's right here. Let them use the local resource.
So in terms of using local contractors, I don't have any argument from me. And I know James Drainage have been really proactive in contributing to what's going on here. And we've been in touch with, not me personally, because, you know, I don't know anything about roading. They told me to shut up and go and sit in the corner.
Suggestion, using local contractors. If you had somebody who was responsible, this culvert and that culvert and that culvert, who was local, and we all knew who they were, we would make sure they did the work. But we can't do that now because then we'd be prosecuted for working somebody else's job.
So I'm not going to get down into the details.
So I was just making a suggestion. There used to be those old guys who walked around the road, you know, with their brush and shovel.
Yeah.
We're actually coming back to those guys.
Do they have the right orange cones? Thank you.
I've read one.
So I just want to give you a really quick snapshot of the discussion that we're having with the government about the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture here is that unless we get investment in our districts, which is basically hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of long-term roading resilience investment, then we are always going to be vulnerable to every weather event that happens. So we have the discussion that we're having with the government is the days of catch up and move on are finished. We're not interested in that. We need investment, and it needs to be big, and it needs to be sustainable and long-term. Otherwise, the business and social and economic well-being of this community right across the district is going to struggle. And we've reached that point with 25A going out because all the rest of the roading network is now extremely vulnerable, and we've seen that highlighted. So that's the discussion that we're having with the government. Civil defence, thank you, Lena. We can't thank you enough for the work that you and your team have done throughout all of this. I just want to tell you that there's a few things popped up out of this. One, the word Starlink is coming up a lot in terms of is this a solution, and do we need to be funding communities to be ready and resilient and able to keep the communications going? So there's a lot of work going into investigations about how we keep those links going, even when we've got no power and even when we've got cell phone towers down. You talked about $30,000 for some funding for generators. Was that for generators or was that for?
That was for the Civic Solutions upgrade using power packs and a duplex relay systems to expand the coverage and to include UHF across the whole area.
Can you get that information to us ASAP? We've got Minister. Thank you.
We've got all the codes already made.
Thank you. So we've got a government, Michael Wood's going to be here next week, specifically to talk about the support that we need. We've got submissions going into DIA this week. We're meeting with them yesterday. So we really need to be able to tell them exactly what we need and how much money we need. And, you know, the bigger the numbers, the better. Now's the time. Now's the time to get this support.
I'm just waiting on an electrician to tell me exactly the type of generator that we need, so that you know, and medical centre as well.
Yep, please.
Yeah.
Any information that we can get in terms of, hey, guys, we need this to future-proof us and get us ready for the next events. The other thing is we've got our Merrill Relief Fund, which is currently sitting at about $766,000, which is an extraordinary amount of money. We got $100,000 from the government, and all the rest has been donations and contributions from companies and local people and Trust Waikato, things like that. So we've got enough to help all the people who have asked for help, and we've got a bit left over. So we're looking at repurposing some of that money to provide some of the solutions that we can do for these emergency events. So we've got some options now, which might not necessarily have been there before. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
And I'm sure everyone in Coromandel Town is quite aware of this too, because I was told one day it was big and it should have been packed for people. But the obvious, and this is all around the peninsula, the Colville commercial basis was absolutely hammered this year. We did not know whether the store would survive, whether anything would survive. And I don't know how much the Merrill Fund relates to supporting the businesses that we have coming through. And these are community-owned, community-run businesses as well. They're not just handed out to private people. Essential community businesses. I really want to make the plug that we do need a conversation about that, and attention is going to have to begin. But after 2 years of COVID, I think the whole peninsula is totally right here. We have this.
Yeah. So, sorry, I forgot your name. Tony. So thank you, and you're absolutely right. And it's a conversation that we've had right across the district for a number of weeks now. We started the conversation to try and get business support with the government about 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
We do have, they've given us $1.42 million for small business support. Now, there's a sting in the tail. That was for the Waikato district, but Tim's Coromandel district was asked to administer that. That fund has been oversubscribed, but we've asked for more, and we think we'll get it. So there are two levels of support for small business. One is up to $2,500 from the Merrill Relief Fund. There's another fund through the small business support package through the council website, and that's up to a limit of $40,000, depending on the number of staff and the amount of turnover drop, and there's a few criteria. But what I'm saying is there is support there. That fund closes on the 31st of March. So I would encourage any business that's been impacted by this to get an application in really quickly.
Yep.
If there's missing information, our team will come back to you and say, hey, we need this, this, and this. We're there to help. We're there to support, and we're chasing as much money as we can from every source that we can find to keep our businesses supported and going through these events and out the other side.
So let you.
Can I just add something about matters? Is that the media put out the Coromandel is closed, and you know they need to differentiate between the East Coast and the West Coast, because the West Coast was open a lot of the time. We were fully stocked up here, you know, just waiting for people to come because we were the only people who could be accessed. It is a very big thing for us up here. You know, like store is a hub, you know, and we're the gateway to further up as well. So that is open. but people didn't come for that reason. Coromandel town really suffered and therefore Colville suffered, you know, so.
Yeah. Thanks, Jan. Yeah, we've all seen that through the summer. It has been difficult, but there's the resources and the support there to help. We do need to move on with the meeting. Marcus, did you have one last point to make?
After the Kaikoura earthquake, government gave them suspensory loan with no interest. Now, we've had all the media attention. Surely this county is in the same position as Kaikoura. And if we could buy, and it was granted, at least you would be able to catch up a little.
Yeah.
What I remember of the road just between here and Coromandel, at the time I did it, was 32 reclamations, either with concrete or paving or planks and little bits of white paint. That's occurred over 40 years. Now, I had to come from Coromandel the other day, been to the doctor. There's 28 qualifications that I observed just as a passenger. Now, we've never been confronted with that sort of a mess in the history of the whole Kenya.
Marcus, we're facing at the moment around $50 million of cost for local road rehabilitation. We have been approved for 91% subsidy from the government to fix those, but we can go with 100% subsidy from the government on specific roads, subject to providing information to them that we're waiting on at the moment. So we are getting subsidies, because if I came to you as ratepayers and said, here's a $50 million bill, I don't think you'd be very happy, and we would struggle to pay that. So we're working on that. We are very aware of alleviating the cost on the ratepayers.
Every option that you can. So thanks, Lee. Thanks for your time. It's been great to have you here, to be able to answer some of the questions and provide some insight into what's going on behind the scenes. So thank you very much. Right, so we need to move on with our meeting. So thank you. We're heading into the first of the two presentations. So Simon Granley from Outward Bound, welcome to Colville. The floor is yours.
E te maunga mohano tēnā koe, e te moana te kapa tēnā koe ngā manu e non rohe tēnā koutou. Yeah, great to be here. It's not a Colville specific issue, but this is the timing that works for me, so appreciate your time. I've seen some presentations out, but obviously the technology here today, I can see on your piece of paper that it's very, very small. So shall I take that as not free?
I have got it on the screen.
Yeah, but I don't imagine you can read it in the paper version. I don't imagine you can read it on the screen apart from the people who are away in digital land. Outward Bound is a organisation that's a loose connection of sort of global 30 countries that have Outward Bound schools. But here in New Zealand, we started in 1962, single school down in the Marshall Downs. And what we typically run is 3-week programs for people at the beginning of their adult life. You know, from the board here, are anyone familiar with Outward Bound?
Yeah, definitely aware of it.
Yes, the board just recently sponsored a young man to attend Outward Bound.
Good, cool. So what it looks like on the surface that Outward Bound takes people into nature and does challenging, trips over the course of an Outward Bound course, but that sailing, tramping, rock climbing, whitewater kayaking, that's not really what we do. Really what we do is it's developing people. So giving people the tools to become the best person that they can be. And that involves, work values, how to be a person in the world, how to be a effective part of a team, experiencing community service, that's really what we do. The taking people into journeys with nature is use to achieve that. So there's a few barriers to going on an outward bound course. It's a long way away from places where the people are here, but Auckland, Hamilton, Tauranga, that top up the North Island we most do. It's expensive. The courses are long, so normally 21 days. We also run 5 and 8 day courses, but for most of the demographic that we target, a 21-day course is normal. And they're physically really challenging. Because they're long and physically really challenging, they're also emotionally challenging. So we screen a whole bunch of people out who want to come and who can afford to come based on their physical, are they fit enough? Are they emotionally stable enough? So there's all these barriers to coming on an outward bound course, but there's a lot of benefits to coming on an outward bound course. We want to address those barriers, get closer to the population, deliver our mission to more people and make it possible for more people to access the benefits of an outward bound course. So concentrating on where the people are, top half of the North Island, within say 3 hours drive of Auckland, as we've been looking and settled on the Coromandel. That's been my mission for the last year, to identify a good place. And Coromandel has got some great bush. It's got a great sheltered ski area. It feels remote. It's got a little bit of wilderness about it, but it's also close enough, particularly with the non-working ferry connection from Auckland. It's close enough to be reasonably accessible. So
It's cancelled. Sorry, you've got ferry from Auckland and it's cancelled.
well, if we could be part of getting that certificate running,
Yes.
then we would. But also if there is cancelled, then we could get our students with a charter boat from Auckland to Coromandel. So we have a vision of in an ideal world, and this is not possible, we would find a piece of land that has walking access into the Coromandel Forest Park or into some areas of bush that will keep us busy for days, and sea access. No such property exists, unfortunately, unless on the environmental week, and let me know that is close to Coromandel. So
We're close to
yes, because the sheltered sea area, sheltered by the islands, is what we would want to be using for waka-ama journeys or for sailing journeys or something like that. If you go further away, you can achieve that, but then you've got extra transport costs and you lose the sheltered sea. Our vision at the moment, we've I've spent a lot of time talking to Doc, to people in council, the Spirit of Coromandel Trust, talking to iwi, and through the Spirit of Coromandel Trust, we have identified that they have an agreement in principle to develop a facility at Tucks Bay, which is a public reserve, and they don't have either the capital to develop something there or the expertise to develop something there. So what we would like to do is to have a main base with access into the bush and have a smaller light touch satellite facility based at Tucks Bay, which would be subject to a whole bunch of community consultation. And for those two bases to work together for us to deliver our courses. We signed a sale and purchase agreement with a piece of land up Tiki Quarry Road, and we're just working through the due diligence on that now. It's got access through Summit Forestry, or Crown Land, that's all run by Summit Forestry, up into the bush. So we feel like it meets our sort of walking into the bush, tramping needs, and it's a short drive to Hannaford's Wharf and a short drive to town where our staff would live, and a short drive to Tucks Bay where we would get on the sea somehow. We have encountered some resistance from neighbours who don't want us as well. So I'm dealing with that at the moment. So it may be for various reasons, whether it's geotech or whether it's neighbours or whatever, we might not end up going through with that purchase, in which case we'd just be looking for another piece of land. But that's what we're doing. Yeah, so in coming year, we will need to be fundraising. So we have a network of people who have supported us well. We're talking probably in the region of $8 million for us to establish a facility over a few years. We don't have that money yet, but we'll be working hard and we're confident we can get the money. We'll get some indications of support already. And then our plan is to run programs that are different to what we're running down in Amakiwa now, but they will have a lot of the same components. Still adventurous journeys in nature, still an element of community service and of environmental katiakitanga. But we might concentrate on some different things that would attract people in different ways. One thing that will be consistent is that more than 50% of all the students that come to Outward Bound at the moment are on some sort of scholarship through Outward Bound. So that's not funding from their own communities, that's funding that Outward Bound goes and finds other people and directs that money to their students. And we will continue to do that. Because we recognise that it's a big financial commitment. We'll do whatever we can as a charitable trust, we'll do whatever we can.
To clarify that, just another keyword, it's kind of the main base in the sounds. This would become another, a North Island split.
Yes, and we would keep Anakiwa as that the sort of spiritual home. See, we've got a capacity in Anakiwa of about 160 students, and there's a community of people that live on site of 70 or so with families as well as staff. And we're thinking that we would establish a facility here with a capacity for 40 students, maybe grow to 60 students, and not have staff living on site. We prefer to have our staff actually living here. So much smaller scale, but that's our vision.
Cool. Thanks, Simon. Fantastic investment for Coromandel.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it is. There is some help that I need from the community and from the community board too. So one area of help that I need is that it's really important for us to establish relationships with mana whenua, with iwi. I've been able to meet with people with someone from Patakirikiri, someone from Ngāti Whanaunga, someone from Tamatera, but I haven't been able to get the right connections to find someone to meet from Ngāti Kutia or Ngāti Maru. And what I've been told is that those iwi that I should be meeting with will be operating in the Dohi.
Ngāti Rongo-u. Also, Ngāti Rongo-u.
Someone I can.
I know.
I haven't even heard of that.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, it's complicated. But particularly Ngāti Maru and Ngāti Kutia, I feel like I need some help.
Yeah, we'll definitely take care of that.
That would be lovely. I mean, I have email addresses for them, and I've sent emails introducing myself and introducing them, but I just haven't had a response to that. So that's a really important thing for us to do. And then the other thing that I would like some help with, we can buy a piece of land, and then we will come up with a design, the resource consent process. Obviously, neighbours can participate in that, and then we'll work through council processes and take us a couple of years, and we'll be operating. But that would only be in a place where there's the bush access. For us to operate in Tuts Bay, it's a completely different process. We'll be working with TCDC, also the Waikato Regional Council, and there'll be a community public consultation process with that. So the facility that has been envisaged in the spirit of Coromandel Trust in a feasibility study is quite a big sort of pavilion building right on the foreshore. There's absolutely no way I want to commit Outward Bound's money to a big building right on the foreshore for reasonably obvious reasons, but also because I can imagine, and I've been told, that the community has a big stake in Tuts Bay as well as the Long Bay campground. There's probably quite a few people who wouldn't want to see a large building right on the foreshore of Tuts Bay. So I don't think that's a good reason, for multiple reasons. But further up in regenerating bush away from the beach, I have identified a site that I think would work, but still, so we can be sort of more private. It's not so impactful on people who are coming and visiting recreationally, but we may want to establish a storage shed or something at the very least to have our boats on the foreshore. So, how we go about that consultation, what that process looks like is it's unknown to me. We've got a consultant planner that we're working with, and he's going to be a lot of help. But I need, I think, the community board and council's guidance on how we would go about that Tuts Bay.
So, through the chair, if I may, Simon, congratulations, well done. I would open the door to you to come and meet with myself and council, but obviously you've got the process underway. You talked to the board. from our experience in these matters, engaging iwi right at the beginning, not bringing them in as consultants right at the end, is the right way to do it. So I think you've already made those moves, but engaging iwi, all iwi, right at the beginning is really important. I'm not sure where you're at with your journey at the moment, but certainly come and see us.
Yeah, I mean,
See me.
it's 2 days, but I'm about to.
Keen to have that. We want to support any initiatives that I think would be, especially young people, help us support the development of young people. Absolutely.
Thanks. And on the EV subject, we don't just want to say this is what we're doing, what do you think? We're open to a ground up partnership. If that is something that would work for EV here. We're running courses with joint venture sort of delivery partnerships with Ngāi and with Santiago down south, and we could be doing that, and they could be involved. It's really early stage.
Cool. No, exciting times. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, just, yeah. So you keep in touch and
Yeah.
take him up on his offer. Yeah.
Cool. So hopefully, in 2 years, we'll actually be operating.
Yeah.
Hope so, Simon.
Any other questions?
Cheers.
Simon.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And secondly, Colville project.
Joe, would you like us to move that down and you can bring your presentation a little closer, please, suit you guys? All right, yes? Yeah. Yeah, we got a little bit, we can just get the district manager to careful. Everybody.
Yeah.
We've got a, oh, I didn't ask them. What is those? I just went in here.
All the information. Right.
You will have the information I've come with. Okay, we will listen carefully.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
What was it? Great to be here with the community board today, and extra special to have our mayor then Stolt with us today. That was an added surprise. And I just want to say to you that we did have an appointment to be set up earlier in the year with you, but we thought you had bigger things on your plate, so we kind of thought, no, that's not. So this is an introduction and a follow-on from our previous presentation on the Colville project. And so I'm going to hand to Braun the next slide.
Yes, so we're not going to go through the whole history. We know that many of the community board have already done some, and we know Jim is the new. Don't have that. We feel like the community board might be able to fill Jim on the other day. But really, we just wanted to introduce our vision here about the Coromandel Peninsula being a thriving place to live, work, and play across our lifespan. And it's really come out of looking at our community. I just apologise for my slight speech. Apologies, it's due to long COVID, and just bear with me. I'm sorry about that. It's really addressing the needs of our community as they've been identified, and we worked really closely with the community coming up with that vision. It's we'll talk in a minute about what we're actually proposing and moving, not only proposing but moving forward on doing. But really, it's a social change project that's aimed at really development for our community over the long term. So it's not just looking at and our children, but our children's children and our children's children's children. So it's a really future forward project.
I think one of the things about, you might have got from this community, and even today from the meeting, that this community is really invested in itself and really keen to look after this community and what it holds dear and special. And so there's 4 stages to our project. And the first one, loud and clear coming from our community, is that they want a wellbeing and education centre. They want a local facility so that we can have many services. There is a passion about maintaining our medical service here, a health service, but there's the social services, there's a whole lot of other practitioners and people who come to our area and currently who are working in the little houses that we've managed to rent along the way. And so the 4 stages is the Wellbeing and Education Centre, which you will hear we're a bit down the path on, and that then we're looking at accommodation, and this is accommodation for our loved members of the community who want to stay in this community and not have to go somewhere else in their old age or when a default need arises. So we want to have a facility where we can have people who want to live in this community here, and that we can also house visiting professionals when we get people coming who might come to do a 2-day clinic, that they can stay somewhere and be handy to the service. Stage 3 is about youth recreation, and we care deeply about the young people in our community and want to provide something that keeps them here and interested and out of mischief. And we really want to see involvement of locals in there, because we've got lots of things that happen here, but to have a base for some of this stuff would be really great. We also then are looking at housing. So there's lots of opportunities that arise in this community and the communities around here, but there is nowhere to live, right? There's lots and lots of batches, but people don't want to let their batches, and then people don't want to have to move at Christmas and the good times over the summer. So housing is a real barrier for this community, and that we're working on a housing strategy at the moment. Also, don't be shy to stop in and.
But shall we just point out that even though we've kind of put those into 4 stages, as Joe's mentioned, we're currently really focused on stage 1, because that's clearly where our community has said they'd like the initial focus to be. We're very fluid about how those stages to develop. So as opportunities arise, those stages aren't linear. They can develop alongside each other, and so we are already having conversations in the rounds of the other stages as well.
I think that's a big part of the project really, is how flexible and responsive we want to be and not then have to be reactive. So we're really looking to flexibility and responsiveness to the change we have, because we have a lot of change.
And I think that's just to add to that, it's also how we're approaching the design of the project too, so that we don't want to build a white elephant for our community. So it's, it's an expensive project, as we know all projects are. We want to make sure that it's something that can be changed and used in different ways into the future as the needs of the community change as well. So that it's always in the terms of an asset rather than liability. Okay, so we've talked a bit about how it's very future focused. Our community we're really proud of our community. We raised over $1 million and we purchased the land, and we thank the community board for their willingness to support the project along the time that we've been involved. It's been a little while getting to this point, but land is really crucial, and until you've got the land, it's very hard to kick off any further. So we really appreciate that. Community board has communicated with us a lot around land, and there's just nothing suitable in this area, but that we really appreciate the willingness that has come from the community board over the time. So we have purchased a piece of land, 35 hectares out along Wall Road, and I think it's really key that it is out of the flood zone. So most of the whole Colville Valley in here is in the flood zone and the tsunami zone. And so that's actually part of our future focus plan, is that we've got a piece of land which can be used also as time goes on. There's the possibility to relocate other parts of our community assets and other aspects of our community so that we're not losing what we've already got into the future. So we're really looking at this as a very big wide community project. You want to add anything?
Can I just ask, what's the zoning on the land that you've got? It's all rural.
Do you want to talk to that? The zoning of the land?
Oh, it's rural, so we will have to go through an application for discretionary activity.
We have had some meetings with TCDC. We've had the town planner come and look at that land with us before we purchased it, and looked at the current legislation and said to us at that time there was lots of advantages about this piece of land. That you can't see it from anywhere else. The noise won't be transmitted anywhere else. It's got access along an area that the council's already looking at developing road and wise. So there was an indication from the town planner that of all of the places we looked at, because we involved the town planner with all of our steps forward, they said it was the best place that they thought that we had looked at, and they felt that it would be a asset to our project.
Thank you.
And in recognition, Lena, what you were saying to Simon from Outward Bound earlier around engagement with the iwi, also engaged with iwi prior to buying the land, because there is a parasite on one aspect of that land. So we were very early on engaging with iwi about whether or not that was even suitable land favours, that support this type of development going with iwi. So we follow the ethos that you've talked about.
We're continuing our engagement with all of our iwi around a partnership we want to be involved with them around how this project develops.
Thank you.
So what we're doing right here and now is we're doing lots of engaging. And so with our communities, just prior to Christmas, we had some I consider rather successful community meetings. We had turnouts of 19 and 40 and 20 odd people to the events, and we worked through sort of parts of the project with the community, and everybody was invited to move around tables. It was a really successful event. And so we are continuing to talk with lots of other stakeholders, even there, but also then other practitioners who might want to come and work here, other local local businesses, if you like, or local things like the schools that here, the preschool. We're having conversations with all of those groups around how we can move forward together and be inclusive in the project. We're looking at potential partners too, and so we are having conversations in the housing realm and in the development of the facility, just about who else could partner with us in that process. Potential users, sort of, we have got a really broad definition of who could fit and work and sit and be part of the Colville project. And so that's amazing. We have spoken, example, with DOC in the past about maybe they could be interested in something here. We've talked to other groups like potential users, so the community, the people who will be using the facility, and also funders, very dear to our heart, funders, very important for us at this time. And so we're having lots of action in that. I think Anne's been part of the TCDC training. Thank you for inviting someone from our course. I think Janice's been
HQ
from our group.
we go to trash or HQ funding. That's
They've got one of the tests. There's two for this financial year for this TCD, so in the cultural project, we're lucky enough to get one of them. Yes, yeah, sorry. That's helping us kind of open up doorways and pathways to other funding and to network and build other relationships. Like we have relationships with the Met Waikato, Community Waikato, and lots of different groups who
sort of adding to our picture as we progress.
Maybe we just mention that when we're talking about potential partners, just to sort of rest assured, I guess, that when we're looking at that, we're really looking at where our visions are aligned and where our values are aligned. And it's also very just to So where are we at now? It's we're much further down the track than we were when we last spoke to the community board. So we have engaged with an architectural team. We are in the midst of our planning for our well. We are planning for our the site infrastructure, that we're in the planning stages around what needs to be done, and looking at timeframes, costs and so forth. And we're preparing for our resource consent. So we're looking at all of the other aspects of the plan. Actually, do you want to add anything? Yeah.
We hired an architect that used to work at Driving Creek Railway, knows well the community and how the specificity of this little town, I guess. And here we are going through a lot of workshops to design something that's still modular and flexible, that will be able to respond in the need. And we've seen with all those events, the weather events, how much we need a hub in really close, and that we can't rely on getting to Coromandel to provide essential services here. So it's important to work with this architectural team.
So it's this all ties into the fact that not all of us have credible communication ability through select solutions. They instead of providing just enough, like the cell tower and the copper network, which is dying, and the cell tower, which is epic, which I don't do nothing about. They're building an incredible, resilient, high quality communication network, which ties that together, which in a health basis needs really high quality, wide bandwidth communication, where we can go right up to the point where someone elsewhere in the world can direct an operation, medical events, things. And we are really proactive as a community in developing things here. And your support in this is crucial too. So not just sticking out, but actually figuring out what we need. And this common system consent solution is super.
So just in finishing our timeline, so we've kind of got a bit of a road back to keep us on path, and also just as a guide really for where we're going. So hopefully at the end of this year, we will have the resource consent application completed and ready to go. Okay. The next phase is to actually look at the site infrastructure, the road, the water and the power. And so that's the work for next year, 2024.
And we're planning for that already.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we are working with Brown Lawrence, our urban planner, and about those infrastructure and what would be related to this is the road. Our vision is to make this road, which is 700 meters long, to the requirement of the council, for in case one day we can transform this driveway into a public road, because it will bring so much economical development over there, and also life for this community, that maybe we could find a partnership with TCC around maintaining this road. But our role is to develop it under the requirement and the recommendation.
So, and so
Can I just get clarity on your numbers? 250K by the end of 23 for distance and 10,
Yeah,
council budget. Site infrastructure in 24, 2 million. And the wellbeing centre, which is stage 1, 6 million plus. So that's your cumulative budget by the end of, can't quite read that, 26. Okay. Okay. So it looks like you've done some homework on that. And can I say, probably being realistic about what these things cost. And you're getting some guidance, advice on those numbers and the timescales.
Yes, and bear in mind, the types of issues that we do here around power and connectivity and everything else. So looking to ensure that we're well prepared for that eventuality, which we know is a quite couple of certainty.
And I'm guessing you're also looking at there's opportunities here to look outside the square and look outside the way things are normally done.
That's really what I'm referring to.
We had such a lot of expertise in this community in all sorts of different ways of making things happen. And so there is kind of some thinking that perhaps our ideas and what actually the council approve in the long run could be an area for us to work closely on.
Well, and there's potentially some learnings.
Well, that's been
Both ways.
something for us all the way along. So we're really looking at our journey and saying that this could be the way forward for rural communities, not just in New Zealand, but around the world. And so we're really trying to see how can we put together something that can also act as a model.
And so
elsewhere.
Yeah.
You've already done some videos. Yeah. So I've seen a couple of those, so just keep the story going because it's a story that I think would be used all around the world.
And it's a community, like the community lead this project and wants to make it happen. It has been since even earlier than 2017 that, everyone raising what do we need, how is our future vision and getting together and making that.
And I think about doing things differently and looking at how we can collaborate to make it better for everybody, not just our own community, is one of the things that we always have in the back of our minds, because we are at the end of the peninsula. So if the rest of our community, Coromandel, Thames, etc., isn't doing well, it hugely impacts on us. So it's about that greater how things work. And I'm sitting here this morning thinking about the recycling and the rubbish issue. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we have an amazing garbologist in our community who goes over to the islands as a major contractor to Tower Island and help them manage their own waste. And he's shown great interest in being home. And it's quite likely that all of our recycling bottles could be very significantly used in our building project, or even in some of our infrastructure, because a lot of roading, crushed glass can be used. So there's a whole lot of things that could evolve in how we could look after our own waste and not need the trucks coming in on the roads if we can collaborate and work with council. So we're really keen to evolve this relationship because we think there's some fantastic opportunities in our community, and it could be very useful wider than our own community, but we need that close relationship and ability to work with you going forward.
So, Councillor Morrison, we set a target, didn't we, with our vision for waste minimisation and management of being not just ticking the boxes, but being a world leader in the way that we manage waste and the way we minimise waste. So what you're describing can be part of that story, and I'm really excited about it. So,
and I guess that's what Jan was referring to too, the composting. And so part of this is looking at how can we have a circular economy here, because in a sense we're at the end, but we're really a land island because we're a destination, we're not a thoroughfare. So it's actually trying to minimise that having to become part of that trucking in and out.
Awesome, David.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we did prepare a bit of a handout for people, just to sort of,
Thank you. That'd be great.
yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. Good work. So we just got a couple of little formalities. So we just, and before we break for morning tea, you're welcome to stay, have morning tea and chat with Len. I'm sure I'm going to jump into his car as soon as he can and drive back and do the 1,000 things that have been waiting on his desk, but you might be able to grab them on the way.
Hang on for one.
Oh, so yeah, we just need to resolve that the community board accepts the delegations that were made.
I'll move.
With that, second, was in favour, aye. Duly accepted. So yeah, thank you all very much. We'll make a quick cup of tea, maybe 10 minutes. Just grab a coffee and then we'll get the rest of our meeting underway. Thank you.
Very, very happy.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Dawes. We're going to need tea break.
Eleven.